Hey there, welcome to Fun Learn Talks, the podcast where we break down business, technology, and history into stories that sparks your mind and makes you smarter. I'm Anu, and we explore ideas that shaped the world from empires and entrepreneurs to code and culture. If you love connecting dots and asking why things are the way they are, you're in the right place. Let's get started with today's story. Imagine a man whose fate entwines so deeply with Europe's that he reshapes its entire landscape, both literally and figuratively. For 15 years, starting from the waning days of the 18th century into the early years of the 19th, Napoleon Bonaparte, that Corsican officer of artillery, becomes the central figure of what we now call the Napoleonic era. Francois René de Chateaubriand, the celebrated French writer, once called him the mightiest breath of life which ever animated human clay. Yet, how ironic it is that his downfall was driven by the very forces the French Revolution had unleashed and that he himself had propelled further. As a man marked by destiny, Napoleon's rise from an obscure artillery officer to a commanding figure in French politics and on the European battlefield is a tale of ambition, strategy, and sheer will. Despite the handicap of his provincial accent and the unfashionable branch of the military he belonged to, Napoleon made invaluable connections that accelerated his ascent. Through friendships with influential figures like Robespierre's brother and the marriage to Josephine de Beauharnais, a woman entrenched in Parisian high society, he found himself commanding an army of 30,000 men. The ragged yet resilient forces of the Army of Italy. Napoleon's understanding of the power of image and propaganda soon became apparent. He skillfully used battle reports and daily military orders to capture the imaginations and loyalty of the French public and his soldiers. Napoleon famously stated that moral force wins more victories than mere numbers, highlighting his belief in the power of leadership and symbolic gestures. He knew the importance of appearing invincible, a perception that he crafted through relentless publicity and a steadfast demeanor, earning him the title of the Grand Master among the military, a group he referred to as a Freemasonry. Yet, for all his charisma and strategic insight, Napoleon was ruthlessly ambitious. He often displayed a concerning disregard for the high casualty rates, which sometimes reached 30-40%, resulting from his aggressive tactics that emphasized constant attack. His military campaigns were characterized by swift movements and living off conquered lands, a testament to his logistical genius, albeit often at a high human cost. Moreover, his ruthlessness was underscored by his abandonment of his armies, first in Egypt in 1799 and later in Russia in 1812, at critical moments of peril. Segueing into how he clinched power in France, Napoleon's journey was not just fueled by his military exploits, but also by a good deal of fortune and political maneuvering. His return from Egypt, slipping past British frigates unnoticed, and arriving just in time when political strategist Emmanuel Joseph CS needed a military figurehead to consolidate power, highlights his incredible luck and opportunism. CIs, who had crafted a constitution to balance power subtly, didn't realize he was setting the stage for Napoleon's solo rule. As first consul by February 1800, Napoleon swiftly maneuvered to have significant control over the appointment of officials and the initiation of legislation, solidifying his grip over every administrative lever in France. By 1802, he was not only a military hero, but a consul for life, with nearly dictatorial powers over France's political landscape. And perhaps, most strikingly, in a public affirmation of his role, a plebiscite yielded 3.5 million votes in favor of extending his term, against a mere 8,000 dissenting votes, exemplifying the overwhelming support or orchestrated approval he commanded across France. In hindsight, Napoleon's story is one of complexity and contradiction, woven intricately with the threads of revolutionary zeal, personal ambition, and the perennial quest for power. His era not only shaped modern Europe, but also left us pondering the cost of greatness and the price of ambition. Now, let's delve right back into the riveting era of Napoleon, at a point where his grip over France was tightening by both will and necessity. Amidst the renewed clash with Britain in 1803, the discovery of a startling plot thickens the political drama. Imagine the scene when the royalist Georges Cadoudal, backed by British agents, concocts a plan to kidnap Napoleon. This wasn't just a mere episode of treachery, it triggered a significant purge across the nation, sweeping both royalists and Jacobins. But what's surprising is how this chaos smoothly pivoted to usher Napoleon closer to absolute power. The Senate, perhaps seeing stability in the allure of a single strong leader, proposed turning the Republic's helm into a hereditary throne, offering Napoleon the crown as an emperor. Fast forward to December 1804, under the resplendent arches of Notre Dame. Napoleon crowns himself in an act of unprecedented self assertion, in the presence of no less figure than Pope Pius VII. It's a statement, a theatrical manifesto of his authority, where he was not merely embracing imperial power, he was shaping it according to his own script. Switch gears and let's peer into Napoleon's domestic reforms, an arena where his hand was as forceful as it was on the battlefield. During the consulate period, he was a whirlwind of activity, enacting changes with the aid of a council of state. His focus? Firm economic management, among other things. One of the cornerstone achievements here was the establishment of the Bank of France in February 1800. It's fascinating to see how this institution was designed to bring financial stability, holding a monopoly on note issue, strongly backed by real gold and silver. Shifting from economy to law, Napoleon's Code, known aptly as the Code Napoleon in 1804, was another monumental legacy. Picture this: a comprehensive legal code replacing over 360 chaotic local ones from the reign of the Ancien regime. It was a blend of revolutionary ideals and assertive control. Rights were proclaimed, property ownership was secured, but on a flip side, women's rights faced stern limitations. Here's something concrete. The legal framework he designed mandated an equal division of estates among sons, reshaping French society's future foundations. Meanwhile, in the sphere of religion and education, Napoleon's strategic mind never rested. He recognized the potential of a controlled education system to shape future leaders. Through the creation of lycees, selective schools aimed at training elite administrators and military leaders, he planted the seeds for a governance structure loyal to his cause. About a third of the spots were earmarked for sons of officers and civil servants. Think of it as grooming the next generation for a Napoleonic France. However, it was not just education where control was pivotal, the religious domain was equally crucial. Through the Concordat of 1801, Napoleon cleverly positioned religion as a tool for social stability. The Catholic Church was recognized as the religion of the majority, but with a twist, clergy now served the state. And to ensure no single creed outflanked his authority, the organic laws followed, maintaining a balance by granting liberties to Protestant communities and affirming the state's dominance over the church. What's intriguing here is that even during the dramatic peak in 1899, when Rome was annexed and the Pope became his prisoner, the Concordat remarkably still endured. Let's pause for a second. The breadth of Napoleon's influence from politics to personal lives, from banks to bread prices, reveals a leader engrossed in both the minutiae and the macrocosm of governance. Isn't it fascinating how, through strategic reforms and ruthless governance, Napoleon not only managed to centralize power, but also craft an era that bore his unmistakable imprint, yet stirred the bedrock of modern administrative practices? From the monetary systems to the melding of state and religion, his legacy, though controversial, undeniably shaped the contours of modern Europe. Interesting, right? Don't go anywhere as we continue to explore how these actions echoed through the annals of history, setting the stage for a transformed European landscape. Let's keep going. Napoleon's tenure, while marked by administrative zeal and significant legal reforms, wasn't necessarily a golden era for the ordinary French citizen or the greater masses under his rule, let alone his empire's subjects. His reforms, striking as they were, leaned heavily on the groundwork laid by previous reformers. Rather than introducing fresh social reforms, Aimed at elevating the quality of life for the common people, Napoleon's interests were tightly entwined with maintaining his political power, supported chiefly by a select group of officials, the middle class, and crucially, the military. That's it for today's episode on Fun Learn Talks, where stories from business, technology, and history keep your curiosity alive. If you enjoyed the journey, make sure to follow, rate, or share it with a fellow curious mind. And hey, we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment or connect with us online. I'm Anu, and I'll catch you next time, right here on Fun Learn Talks. Until then, keep learning, keep wondering.